You destroyed our industry, ruined our games, spread poison and fear through developers, and tried to kick us all out. Kindly f*** off. We're back. The point is, you shouldn't have touched our fucking video games, and now we're going to rape the United States. Remember Gamergate? That whole 2014 mess of Kiwi farms and 4chan schizos taking one bad industry breakup so seriously that they have convinced themselves that they are the reason Trump won in 2016. Yeah, that Gamergate. It sprawled out into this massive online culture war where one side was journalists and industry professionals, and the other side were teenagers and the unemployed. There wasn't really any winners because there wasn't a goal. I mean, the games industry has continued to grow and appeal to practically everybody. Meanwhile, the internet has seen a steady growth of right-wing thought among younger and younger people. It was basically a huge waste of time that accomplished nothing. And if you think it was the reason Donald Trump won in 2016 instead of me, mom, pep, just really hate brown people and really love television, then you're dumb. But we did get a pretty funny Law & Order SVU episode out of it.
I know. I read on Kotaku that it's better than Civ 5 with the Brave New World expansion pack.
But the gamer culture war lived on, and ever since, a low IQ Boer bought Twitter has been in full swing as of late, with lots of younger Gen Z participants who are part of the new soy right. And you know what? Let's talk about a really interesting example that happened very recently, because it perfectly encapsulates every mentally ill flaw the soy right has. Let's dig in. Here we have streamer and worshipper of the chaos god Nurgle, Asmongold, who has been making more and more right-wing political content over the past year. Oh, who is this? It's Twitter user Solyanath, author of such amazing posts as, "While napping, I dreamt of marrying an anime girl, and now that I'm awake, I have to war against old people who want young whites to be replaced by foreigners, the travesties of our days. My heart is heavier than the combined weight of all the 7 seas and all of the 5 oceans. I know that my anime wife is out there, right now, cuddling a small plushie of me and waiting for the day that it becomes possible for us to wed."
How f***ing lame.
Yeah, that's so embarrassing.
Ugh.
Look right here, and I'll show you. Like, people think I'm f***ing crazy. I'm not. Look at this. People wonder, are tax dollars used to promote wokeness in video games? Answer is yes. USAID paid Politico millions of dollars a year to write pieces like this one, which promotes diversity and describes Gamergate as disinformation and harassment campaign.
Oh no, USAID paid Politico $8 million to attack gamers? Holy shit, let's go to the already existing government spending website and see how awful this is. Okay, yeah, look, right here, $7.4 million to Politico, but hang on, you can actually scroll down this page and wow, it's actually all from completely different departments of the federal government. Okay, well, hang on. What if these evil, vile feds are bribing Politico to write the anti-gamer articles? Hang on, let's see here. Oh, you can find all the transactions they've made, and okay, let's just look to the right here, and holy f***ing shit, it's all just electronic news subscriptions. Specifically, Politico Pro, a service they usually sell to businesses that can cost up to 6 figures depending on the scope of your business. As you can imagine, the United States federal government is very large in scope. Hang on, what is this article Solyanath posted screenshots of? They didn't bother to link the article. I'm sure it was a mistake and totally not something they did on purpose. Let's look it up. Okay, and here, the biggest races you aren't watching, a newsletter by Renuka Rayasam, published on October 21st, 2020. Not even getting super into the letter itself, the fact that this was posted when Trump was in office already calls into question the idea that liberals are controlling the media, because even if the money paid to Politico was meant to have them post anti-gamer screeds, the fucking funding started when Trump was in office by federal departments he controlled. Is Trump anti-gamer? But wait, the actual parts they put out are down here in an email from an editor and former New York Times game critic, Chris Sulentrop, who seems to be a normal dude who is posting about how, despite Gamergate's notoriety, the gaming industry has gotten more and more diverse to the point where people like AOC and Ilhan Omar also play video games, and that video games belong to no group in particular. And he's right. Imagine somebody saying this about any other kind of media. Like what? Books belong to only white men? Movies, TV shows, magazines? No, don't be silly. Gaming success has led to millions of people playing and creating them. Hang on, weren't we watching Asmongold yap about something?
So,
oh, and a quote tweet of Solyanaf by bitching about women not being hot, bitching about localization, which is something he would have been in charge of with Blizzard projects, moaning about Warhammer 40k, moaning about Pokemon Go, moaning about Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance, which, as far as I can see, it's not woke by any dumbass standards unless you count having more gun games as being forced diversity.
This is the thing, guys. I want these people to suffer, because that's what they did to me.
You know what? He's right. He has suffered. He has suffered greatly. Okay, and yeah, a person who suffers all the time is definitely somebody who makes hundreds of thousands of dollars off their Twitch and YouTube channels, streaming themselves for 6 hours a day, doing basically nothing. Yeah, no, he's the real victim here. He's definitely suffered at the hands of the evil news journalists.
I want to set an example. Get rid of these people. Put them like completely out of their jobs. Get rid of them. Make an example of them. Say, listen, this is what happens. Gamers rise up. What goes around? Yep, what goes around comes around. And we're coming.
Oh, put them out of their jobs? You mean end their careers for saying things online? Almost like their online careers are canceled. Yeah, no, this is the same crowd that flipped out when people were hashtag canceled for saying shit like me being a Republican is basically as bad as being a Holocaust victim. Or when everybody learned how delusionally insane the My Pillow guy was.
No, they're not lumpy pillows. That's not what they call on. Okay? When you say lumpy pillows, now you're an You got that? You're an is what you are. No, he's an ambulance chasing That's what you are. Lumpy pillows, kiss my Put that in your book.
But, you know, wanting to get journalists fired and ostracized for articles they wrote 4 years ago isn't cancel culture. It's called justice, libtard. Yeah, Asmongold really shouldn't be a media personality based on his skull shape and his facial structure. He should have really been born as a medieval peasant. I mean, he's got the filthy living conditions down. May as well start farming dung for your feudal lord, Asmon. But yes, this was all just the clip that Solyanap posted. But the fun part is the you should have left my video games alone, because that's where we are right now. That's what Twitter is. Just thousands and thousands of sad little boys saying they want to do a second Holocaust because they think the world is out to get them and their special hobby, video games. And apparently, according to these people, it's serious business. Here are some examples, all from a post that just said in response to Solyanap, "This is pathetic, it's just video games." Now imagine that one kid who went to your high school who only ever wore the same exact Minecraft hoodie every day. Imagine he's the one writing these, because he probably is. Game journalists tried to kick gamers out of gaming and turn it into propaganda for their disgusting ideology. And now that the tide is turning, it's just video games? Nah, you've made your bed, now get f***ed in it. Oh no, the f*** you don't. People like you have spent the better part of the last 12 goddamn years telling us that all art is political and that it's okay to ruin someone's life over it. Just because the world rejecting your horse shit doesn't mean you get a free pass. Leaving aside all the other shit they use to program and affect other nations with, it is specifically because they're video games, a government paid to control one of the most common forms of escapism for the average person as a propaganda propaganda piece, and you don't see the problem? Interesting how video games were super important to idiots like this until they got what they wanted. Now that their side is losing, they wheel out the old, "it's just video games, why do you care so much" argument every single time. Then why did the left care so much about changing them in the first place? Of course, as soon as you lose the cultural mandate, video games are no big deal. Yes, they are, and that's why you berated us for years over them. You shouldn't have f***ed my f***ing video games. And here's an interesting one that keeps getting brought up all the time. The idea that this statement is an appeal to triviality. And by the way, there's nothing more soy than bringing up logical fallacies, dog. What are you, a YouTube debate bro? So according to this JPEG, a logical fallacy where someone involved in an argument says the issue being argued over doesn't matter in an attempt to shame their opponents into giving up so that their side can push their agenda unopposed, easily countered by telling them to shut up and go away if they don't actually care. So this is a bad argument because Kazu here does care about the discussion, but these people aren't willing to engage with what the discussion actually is. All they see is somebody saying, "It doesn't matter," but in reality, they're saying it's pathetic to be seemingly so mad about brown people in video games and journalists disagreeing with you that you have to upend your entire life and moral character to become a pro-censorship fascist. Is that maybe an overreaction? You know who else was really angry over art and news articles that they found to be too politically antagonistic? Oh, well, explain why all these woke games are failing then. If the industry wasn't being used as a propaganda tool, then why does the audience constantly reject all the wokeness in video games? Well, shit, you're right. Who could have guessed an industry that demands ever-increasing profits, has bloated investments, and has been operating on unique COVID-19 market data that is no longer relevant would put out giant flops all the time? Is this because video games are an expensive hobby and nobody can reasonably afford to buy tons of them as the cost of living keeps increasing and they have to be more selective? Is it because the industry is desperately following trends and puts out games that are actually years behind said trends due to production issues? Has the drop of game quality been due to the endless developer shuffling and firing and combining and the corporate cost-cutting design just to maximize profits? Or is it just because there's a black person in my video game? Hang on, let's actually see if woke video games really are going broke using the handy woke content detector. Baldur's Gate 3, 15 million copies sold. Cyberpunk 2077, 30 million copies sold. Marvel Rivals, 10 million players in 72 hours. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, first Ubisoft game to make $1 billion. God of War Ragnarok, 15 million copies sold. Sid Meier's Civilization 6, 10 million copies sold. Starfield, 15 million players. Elden Ring, 28.6 million copies sold. Okay, so you understand, right? If normal people in the game industry's real audience are not being pandered to, then why the hell is the game industry making big Dracula Flow money? Maybe it's because the actual gaming audience doesn't care about this far-right nonsense. The average gamer is a 29-year-old white guy named Derek who works at Harris Teeter. He saw a trailer for Assassin's Creed Shadows 6 months ago and messaged his best friend Damien on Facebook that the new Assassin's Creed looks cool. It's in China or something. Now, of course, wokeness is subjective and usually starts and ends depending on how much the person actually likes the game itself as a video game. Case in point, we have George Alexopoulos, a far-right comic artist and giant nerd who normally eats up all this anti-woke gamer hysteria, of which right now a big target is Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, a medieval game with maybe one black guy and one gay man in it that nonetheless is being bombarded with culture war nonsense. Now, I bet George is going to be super consistent with his political ideology and, no, wait, look at this. He likes the game and says that the big controversial gay content is completely optional, like it's maybe a role-playing game where you choose things, like if you're gonna be gay or not. And then he is called a homo, but, you know, that's the audience he's made for himself now, isn't it? It's pretty obvious that for other games that he wouldn't be interested in playing, he would give it this crazy, weird, hyper standard standard of it forces you to be gay or whatever. So yeah, this whole genre of soy, anime, serious, gamer, groiper types are something else, huh? What's so interesting to me about them is that they are purely a product of online events that they probably weren't even part of. These fellow Gen Z dudes weren't on 4chan in 2014. They don't understand what they are posting. They are parroting shit they have seen regurgitated from Reddit and Twitter and YouTube and Discord. They aren't some kind of edgy counterculture. They are actually just cultural refuse. All the ideas and cultural images they hold dear fall apart with just a little bit of introspection. Little Norwegian Cuzzo here calls everything Reddit and then proceeds to non-stop post the most embarrassingly Reddit images ever made. They are little political jits who are desperate for any kind of 2015 era esoteric online culture that can no longer exist. We all know who you are, we all know what you like and why you like it. It's not impressive. Odds are you didn't even vote. Elon may seem to be just like you, but no, he and his cadre of groomed Doge Zoomers are the ultra wealthy and only seek to pry out the last remaining bits of culture and social life you could have ever potentially had, and then they'll leave to go enjoy their spoils as you keep working your little wage job. None of that is wokeness or DEI, that's just business, and you are a peasant for thinking otherwise. It's embarrassing, it's gay, it's just straight up retarded. Watch better anime.